Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Are we talking?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Let me do a sound check.
Yeah, I think we're good. Hold this. I forgot to do something. There we go. Are we good? We're live. Welcome back, everyone, to the #1 podcast in the world, the Confessions Podcast. Thank you for joining us on the 52nd edition. Today, it's a great day. It's always a great day every time we get to join together, the KrueBoys, Brother Jerome, Ragu, D, Rizzy. And so here we are, staying consistent. This is an every week thing. So make sure you're tuned in. Make sure you subscribe. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? We're going to give you 5 seconds to subscribe.
Moment of silence.
All right, thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, then I don't know. We're going to do something to you. Anyways, today, again, it's been a great week. Just real quick, I want to say that I am very grateful and I'm very proud, and I am excited for the next steps that we are taking. We are going to be starting what we stopped a long time ago, and that is starting to create clips, putting them out there, promoting this podcast so that we can grow it as much as humanly possible, because at the end of the day, our whole goal is to make this the #1 podcast in the world. It already is the #1 podcast in the world. You know, subscribe if you haven't already. Don't fact check me on that. It's 100% true statement. But we want to start promoting it more, so we're going to start investing into that side. So if you haven't already, follow us on TikTok at Confessions Podcast. Is it a Confessions Podcast official, I believe?
Official, yeah.
So follow us on TikTok. We're going to be posting clips from these episodes, and then also we're going to start posting a little bit more highlights every single week for all of y'all that can't digest the full, 2 hours or so that we usually go live. That'll be easier, shorter for y'all to be able to digest just the highlights of that. And then, just give you more opportunity to see us. And if you happen to have TikTok brain rot and you just can't pay attention, then, that'll be a good option for you as well. We're going more and more deeper and finding new ways to innovate, to grow. So I just wanted to let y'all know that, because as viewers, y'all are like supporters, whether or not you love us or you hate us. If you're watching, you're a fan. And so we want to do our best to make sure that you are actually watching a program that wants to serve y'all the best possible product. And as viewers right now, as people who are watching us from little embryos, little Padawans, once we become, the full on, what would you say? A Charizard, right now we're like Charmander, Charmeleon in between, but we're, slowly evolving and growing. And so if you want to witness that journey, you've already seen us, how far we've grown from the first episode a year and a couple months ago. And so
It's crazy. It's still just been a year. Wow.
Still just been a
Feels
little
like
over a year.
forever.
Yeah. Been a little over a year. So if you want to witness us continue to grow and push forward, subscribe. Follow us on all of our socials, TikTok, Instagram, of course on YouTube. Follow us over on Twitch. If you're on Twitch, you can watch us on YouTube and all of our highlights and things like that. Plenty of content coming y'all's way. So that's exciting news that I wanted to be able to share with y'all, that we wanted to share with y'all. And so, more content coming y'all's way. And we're just going to keep the ball rolling, and not only rolling, but it's the snowball effect. You know what I mean? We're not just rolling a baseball on the ground, but we're getting a snowball on a snowy Christmas day, rolling it down the hill, and it's going to keep building. So just wanted to say that real quickly. But before we get into it, boys, how y'all been? How was y'all's week?
You go first. It's been busy as always. It's crazy because a month or two ago, right, my brother and his girlfriend were barely planning their baby shower. Now it's tomorrow, and that just goes to show, like, time just flew, right? I just got the messages like, hey, don't forget tomorrow, been planning and all that. On top of as the semester winds down, you got the finals coming up, so a lot of them are cumulative from the stuff you learned from the beginning of the semester. Got that going on. Family, and still hitting the gym no matter what. Even if I go for 15, 30 minutes, I still manage to, at the main priority, get some cardio in. Like Raju said, you don't need, what, no more than 45 minutes to get a good, efficient workout in. And I've been doing that lately because it's like, well, you got to sacrifice something for your priorities. And as long as you get something in, a little win, as we always say, those little wins stack up. And I just managed to get that in at the very minimum, still eating right. And it's crazy though because I got up at 8 o'clock this morning, right? Started my day, been at it all day, and I still managed to run behind. And I was like, man, I thought I planned it out great, but doesn't always work out like that. Doesn't always work out like that.
Yeah.
But it's been good. It's been busy. I'm ready to close this step of my life, this chapter. Community college, living over there, and ready to start the next chapter of my life. Hopefully moving in with y'all, going into a big boy university, and experiencing the city life as Lubbock continues to grow. It's crazy. It's expanding a lot. But I feel like my time at SBC and all that, and where I'm at, I've already outgrown it. So, like, let's go to the next step already. And I'm looking forward to it.
I've definitely seen a lot of growing up, man. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And that's good to hear that you can tell, like, one, I can personally tell that you have grown up, and then two, it's a good seeing you kind of outgrow like community college now to a bigger university. So that's
Thank you.
huge.
And it's-
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It means a lot. And then, like, I look up to y'all. You're like my bigger brother. So, of course, y'all help facilitate my growth a lot. But it's crazy, too, because I always tell myself, like, a lot of people stop at that community
Yeah.
college level at the associates. They're like, oh, I'm good now. And then they just into the workforce. I'm like, no, sky's the limit. Just keep going. Keep going. Even if one day, like, if school becomes my personality and I'm just working, doing KRUE, business, whatever, still going for, like, a master's or PhD on the side, maybe 1 or 2 classes at a time, I could see myself doing that as well, just slowly. But still, incorporating real life, the business, KRUE, confessions, whatever else I got going on. So I can see myself doing that as well.
And that's great. And yeah, and I want to also say, yeah, very proud of you. Have seen the growth firsthand, and both of y'all. I think that's one thing that I love about our relationship is that we push each other, hold each other accountable, and every time we're with each other, it's always okay. What can we do to help each other grow? And so that's one thing I love about our relationship. I love about this podcast. Number podcast in the world. Subscribe if you haven't already. And so I think there's a lot to look forward to in these coming months. And like you said, it's a one thing whenever you're doing school, it's like there's a strict period whenever time to transition, and that's whenever the semester ends. After the semester ends, then it's like, okay, now it's time for the next step. And as you mentioned, you're going to be coming down here to Lubbock, and you got a lot of things excited for just this summer.
Yeah, just this summer, and not even what we got planned for the year. And I always think, like, nobody knows our real growth, our personal growth, and how much we've experienced and grown besides God and us. People just look at the outcome. They look at what we've achieved. They don't look at the. And we know Raul's been through the grinder, right? You've experienced a lot of things. I've had my ups and downs, but nobody sees that except us and God. And it's like, man, that just strengthens our bond even more.
And I think the fact that no matter what is going on behind the scenes, the fact that we show up each and every single week, each and every single day, and sometimes it may be harder to smile, but we still take things on and do our best and remain optimistic. And the way that I like to say it is optimism. Positivity is a byproduct of my faith. I think that's the thing I've really started to notice is that my faith has gotten so much stronger since we've transitioned to this style, that now my faith is so strong that I'm able to apply to everything. I feel like there was a time where I felt only specific areas of my life could I ask God to help me out with, like in my relationship with Him and big things, health and stuff like that. But now it's like, no, it's in all things, everything. He wants us to live life and live it more abundantly. Speaking, He always says, walk by faith and not by sight. Lean not on your own understanding. Trust in His plan. And He always says what He has planned for us is for us to walk in authority, walk in courage, confidence, competence, um, and because he's great, he makes us great. Know what I mean? So I think about when I go on my task every single day, and I'm sure y'all, it's the same for y'all. But every single day that I show up to work or anything I do, right? It's like, you know what? I'm gonna be great because my God is great. Because I serve a great God, and He makes me great because He lives in me. And as a son of the Most High God, it's impossible for me to fail. And that's one thing that we always say here on this podcast is without God, we can't lose. It's impossible. It's impossible to lose. So that right there has strengthened my faith so that day by day, even whenever there's little setbacks or little bumps in the road, it's like, it doesn't even phase me at this point because it's just like, you know what? I serve a high God. This is just a little bump in the road. Don't matter. And just keep going. And it always works itself out.
Always. And you, Reggie, how was your week?
I'm gonna be the devil's advocate this go around. It was honestly a pretty shitty week. Yeah, it was pretty shitty. I don't know. I didn't feel good. I didn't.
Still look good though.
I still look good though. Yeah. I don't know. I was just, in my opinion, I was slacking. Like, don't get it wrong. I still did things, of course, but I know I wasn't at 100%. I know I could have done better, obviously. But in my opinion, it's like fuck your mood. Like, get your ass up and keep going. Just keep fighting, keep getting up, and something similar to what Derek said. You got to see God in everything, and I also seen it in this video as well. But it was this old man, wise man, whatever, and he was mentioning how you have to see God in everything, and little do you know, like when you do that, He'll end up guiding you in the right direction, and we won't even realize it. And I think it is easy to turn to God during those hard moments, but for me, it's like as if God already told me what I need to do. Like, I already know what I gotta do. I just gotta do it. Fuck your mood and stick to the plan. And that's how I see this week specifically. It is what it is. Tomorrow's a new day. And just gotta get up and keep fighting. And storm doesn't always last forever. So, and gotta remain in your faith. Because even during moments like these, it's easy to turn your back against God. It's easy to throw that relationship away, and in my opinion, it's always been. I've already experienced some shitty weeks, even shittier times. And it's still God that's been there for me. It's still that God has pulled me out of that hell, that fire, and He's come through for me time after time after time. So when it comes to weeks like these or days like these, maybe even months like these, I understand that it's for a greater purpose and that God is guiding me towards the true plan that He has for me. So that's how I see it.
No, that's it's good to share those moments because it's life. That's reality. Not every day, not every week, not every month, not every year is always going to be, you know, sunshine and rainbows. Not everything's going to go your way. I remember not too long ago where I feel like for a year it was just struggling. That's all it was, just struggle. And but ever since I've been able to come out of that, it's I've found an appreciation for those dark moments, and I contribute a lot of my growth to those moments. And my faith has also gotten stronger because of it. Because then it's like if I can get out of that, if God can pull me out of that, take care of me, then it doesn't matter what happens. I can get through anything, and that kind of fortifies my faith and reassures myself and the confidence that I have in my ability and the people that I have around me, and of course, never doubting my God. But it enables me to walk with a little bit of a pep in my step,
Yep.
even whenever times get tough again.
And that's something that we sometimes forget about. It's growing pains, and I'm glad that I have good people around me, like my brothers here. and my family, you know. But I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of bitching and complaining the other day. I was like, man, I'm really going through it. Like, what the hell? What the heck? Like, I need to lock in. Like, come on, Raul. Then one of my girlfriends was like, maybe you're just growing. I was like, huh? Maybe you're right.
And I always think,
Gotta
I
take
always
that
think,
a long time.
yeah, I always think it's okay to like talk out loud, like, oh dang, I'm going through it, or,
Yeah,
but then
yeah,
it's like your actions are still gonna prove otherwise. Like,
yeah.
you know, like yesterday or last Monday, you know, you might be inclining 50-pound dumbbells, right? This week you're like, dang, I think I'm just gonna do the 20s, but at least I'm here, right? Or even, you know, you have those growing pains when you wake up in the morning and something immediately bad happens, and you're like, oh, take a deep breath. It's gonna be one of those days, right? Like when you're walking through the door and your pant gets caught on the doorknob or your keys, or you're like, "Dang,
On the verge of
it's
crashing
gonna be
out.
one of those days." You stub your toe. You're like, I just got up. It's gonna be one of those days. Like for me, I had some eggs, right, and I made them scrambled, so it was even worse. Had some scrambled eggs, and I set them down, and I guess I didn't set them down fully on the table. Just tipped over all the eggs on the floor, and I was like, I didn't even say nothing. I just stared at it. I was like, all right, bro. It was like 8:30 in the morning. I was like, all right, we're starting like this. But I look at it now like how you like it's all right. It's a test of your faith. You're gonna have a bad day, but it's gonna be all right. It's your actions are gonna prove otherwise. You know, you're mad, but you clean it up. Maybe you make it some more. Right? You don't want to go to the gym because you're tired, but maybe you just lift the 20s or the 15s instead of
You
50s.
still get it
You
done.
still get it done, right?
And I could see it even as like, okay, maybe it's not the best start, but it's not how we start; it's how we finish. You know, even if I've had a crappy day all the way up until 7 o'clock, you know what? I'm gonna make these next few hours as productive as possible and finish the day strong, and at least earn the sunset. I'm gonna earn the sunset today, even if it hasn't been the best day. Um, so I understand where you're coming from. This week was a little bit up and down for me as well, but I think kind of how I said, it's just finishing strong. I think today was an amazing day. Went to work, stayed busy, got a lot done. Had to play some catch up, but I got a lot of things done. Ate a good meal, and then went to go watch some baseball. It was a great time. Now I'm here, starting the weekend off strong, and you know it's not always how you start; it's how you finish. And again, just remaining with that mindset of you start something, you're gonna finish it, and you're doing it already. Might as well do your best. And so
Because
that's
people tell me they're like what how do you do what you do because you know you'll be working all day or you know doing something all day and you come home and everybody's already winding down, you know, the gym closes in 30 minutes or an hour and you're like, you know what, I'm still gonna go, right? And people will be like, dang, you're better than me. Like as soon as I would get home, I'm just gonna lay down or I'm gonna rest. But I'm like, nah, the job's not over yet until I get what I need to get done. People always tell me like, dang, like why? And I guess in a way, like why are you doing what that is? And I always think about, well, all this stuff I'm doing, the energy has to go somewhere, right? So even if I'm tired, I'm still gonna go. Even if it's not the most productive workout, even if it's a 15-minute treadmill walk, or just walking outside, or if I read a verse instead of a chapter, it's I'm still doing something, so I have to get something out of it.
yeah. And I think like it's like you mentioned, man. All of those are just little W's, and they all add up, like how we've mentioned before. And so, it even the little things, man. Like it really does matter, the minor details. And I'm a true believer in how you do one thing is how you do everything. How you practice is how you play. And so, whenever I see kids, in practice, messing around, doing things half speed, and just acting like they're too good to try. It kind of rubs me the wrong way, because I mean, Jeremy, you for sure can attest to it. But we've always been the type that's like, no, we're gonna be the ones that are giving 100% at practice, in the game, running like sprinting everywhere, doing the best that we can to earn our spots. And but I do believe that translates over to everything else that we do, and why we've been able to find success in other avenues is because that's how we've treated everything in life. And so, and it's like kind of like how you said, man. It's hard to wind down because there's a never ending, perpetual to do list. It's like there's always something you can be working on, and always something that can keep you busy. And so, even whenever it is time to wind down, it's like, man, You know, there is a million things still on the to-do list, but it's like, all right, I gotta get some rest so that I can start tomorrow off strong.
I agree. But what always rubbed me the wrong way too, and maybe that's the way why it is the way it is now. You know, we were always working hard, or even specifically for football, with the high school we were at. You're always working hard. You know, wanting to get at varsity, trying to be varsity as an underclassman, right? But you would never get varsity. Well, me personally, I got stuck on JV, and the people that were on varsity were the people that would slack, would get in trouble, were smoking weed, were getting not getting straight A's. They were barely passing by, and I'm like, dang, they're rewarding these guys just because they're maybe more genetically gifted or talented than someone who's working hard. And when they always say, if you work hard, you'll get a starting spot. When that wasn't the case, but then I changed my mindset to what you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it. So, I mean, say you go to a yoga class or a cycling class or something, right? Or if people are gonna go, you're gonna have people who half butt it. You're gonna have people who are just going through the motions, but you're actually gonna, do it with intensity. Do the 50 reps that your coach told you to do instead of 25 or cutting it short. Other people that cut it short, they're gonna get what they put into it, yeah. And you're doing, everything full effort, doing the full reps. It's gonna come. Good karma's gonna come back to you as well. So that's kind of how I see it. I don't really compare myself to anybody anymore, and I used to do that a lot. But it's like, well, at the end of the day, this is helping me, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I think that mindset switch is good to see everything out of, because it really is. I mean, whenever you think about who you're really competing against, it is you versus you. Because at the end of the day, you're all you got. You know, you're no one else is going to take care of you. No one else is going to pay your bills. No one else is going to raise your family. No one's going to take care of your parents. No one else is going to do that but you. So being able to recognize that, you know what, just because you put your mind to something doesn't mean you're automatically going to be the best in the world at it, right? So the only thing that you can do though is compete every single day with yourself and push yourself to your limit. And no matter what, as long as you're doing that, you're already winning. It's whenever you try to compare yourself to everyone else that you'll find yourself just always miserable, always like, man, I'm never good enough. You know, I'm never going to be like this guy, and at the end of the day, you don't know exactly where he came from either, or whatever. So it's 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 not the type of lifestyle you want to live, always trying to compare yourself to someone else instead of just, you know what, as long as I'm doing my best, all this energy, like we said, we're putting all this energy into it. It's bound to go somewhere. You know, it's the law of thermodynamics, right? It's gonna go somewhere, and so might as well see that as an opportunity instead of seeing it as, well, I'm trying to compare myself to other people. So yeah, it's a great mindset to have. But man, we are in Proverbs 27 and Matthew 20 today.
Excited.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Prepared.
Prepared. Let me hit this camera real quick. Which one of y'all? Whose turn is it to pray?
I think I did it last time.
I think it's me, right? Middle. How, is it? Does it go like that, or is it? I don't know, bro. We just been kind of randomly going.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm okay
I
with
lost.
going.
I lost.
I'll go.
I lost track.
I think it is like.
Does it go like this? Okay. All right. Now we know. Now we know. We'll
I'm
go
pretty
like this.
sure it's you. Yeah, I'm
Now it's
pretty
like
sure
this.
it's you.
All right. I'm remembering from here on out.
Yeah.
All right. Dear God, I just want to go ahead and give you glory, give you praise, give you gratitude, and let you know how thankful I am for this beautiful life that you have blessed us with, Lord. I want to give you thanks and praise for all the trials, the tribulations that you allow us to go through, Lord, to build us, to shape us into the men that we want to become, Lord. I want to give thanks for the people that not only support us, but also hate on us, Lord. I really appreciate all of them, Lord. I want to give praise and glory to my brothers here as well, Lord. They continue to hold me accountable and also push me to become better. I want to give praise to the viewers as well, Lord, and gratitude towards them for supporting the channel and watching us and allowing not only for them to learn as we learn, but to continue to grow along with us as well, Lord. I ask that you continue to guide us, that you continue to protect us, not only us, Lord, but our people as well, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Heck yeah. Can't forget to shout out all the viewers, the consistent core audience that week in and week out, watches our podcast, and that's pretty incredible.
Hopefully they're learning something. Hopefully we're helping them with some piece of advice or, yeah. Like I said, the friend that I have back over there, the one that watches quite often, he says we actually teach him stuff. I'm like, that makes me feel
I
good.
like to believe that, that they're learning alongside with us and they're growing alongside with us.
Yeah,
I think that's the kind of impact that we have on people.
I think so too, and I hope that we can make it relatable.
It'd be really hard to like take someone who's hating on us seriously. In my opinion, if they're like mad at what we're doing, I don't see the issue with it.
I mean, I respect those people as well. Like, even if they disagree with us, you still watch us. So I really appreciate it. And I mean, you're also allowing us to even maybe see another point of view. And that's not go to say that we may agree, but like what not to do or what I don't want, maybe,
Mhm.
So it allows me to grow still.
Yeah, no, it's great. We can learn from everybody.
Yeah.
Whether that's something like how you said, whether it's like, oh, you know what, it's a good idea, or it's like, you know what, I'm glad I'm not like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not like that. Yeah.
I think there's one comment that my pastor made this past Sunday service. He was like, you know what, like I'm grateful for my family, but there's some family members where they make you feel better about where you're at.
That's the only time you want to compare.
Yeah, it's like,
Just
they make me feel better than
Maybe
about myself.
maybe I'm doing all right.
But
That's so good, bro. That's
it's
good.
funny. Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
funny, but it's funny, but it's true. But all right, Proverbs 27. I'll go ahead and take this one. I didn't read it last week, so I'll take this one. This one's pretty short. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth. Let another praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger, and not your own lips. A stone is heavy, and the sand weighty, but the provocation of a fool is heavier than the both of them. Wrath is fierce, and anger is a flood, but who can stand before jealousy? Better it is open rebuke than love that is concealed. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. A sated man loathes honey, but to a famished man any bitter thing is sweet. Like a bird that wanders from her nest, so is a man who wanders from his home. Oil and perfume make the heart glad, so a man's counsel is sweet to his friend. Do not forsake your own friend or your father's friend, and do not go to your brother's house in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor who is near than a brother far away. Be wise, my son, and make my heart glad, that I may reply to him who reproaches me. A prudent man sees evil and hides himself. The naive proceed and pay the penalty. Take his garment when he becomes surety for a stranger, and for an adulterous woman, hold him in pledge. He who blesses his friend with a loud voice early in the morning, it will be reckoned a curse to him. A constant dripping on a day of steady rain and a contentious woman are alike. He who would restrain her restraints against the wind and grasp oil with his right hand. Iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. He who tends the fig tree will eat its fruit, and he who cares for his master will be honored. As in water reflects the face, so the heart of a man reflects man. Sheol and Abaddon are never satisfied, nor are the eyes of man ever satisfied. The crucible is for silver, and the furnace for gold, and each is tested by the praise accorded him. Though you pound a fool in a mortar with a pestle along with crushed grain, yet his foolishness will not depart from him. Know well the condition of your flocks, and pay attention to your herds. For riches are not forever, nor does a crown endure to all generations. When the grass disappears, the new growth is seen, and the herbs of the mountains are gathered in. The lambs will be for your clothing, and the goats will bring the price of a field. And there will be goats, milk enough for your food, for the household, and sustenance for your maidens. Proverbs 27.
This one started off with a banger, right with the beginning. I was like, man, we were literally just talking about that. But don't boast about tomorrow, for you don't know what a day might bring.
Mm-hmm.
Let another praise you, not your own mouth, a stranger, not your own lips. What I've always said is I don't really do the talking. Let your actions do the talking for you. Because the loudest, what is this? What's that saying about the dogs? The loudest dog doesn't fight or anything like that. It's all bark, no bite.
Kind of
Right?
like that, yeah.
Kind of like that. Like I said, I don't say anything I'm doing. I'm always like, I even tell my mom, I was like, I'm gonna stay down till I'm up. I'm gonna stay down till I'm up. I don't tell nobody nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the only ones that really know me is y'all, God, and probably just my mom. I was like, I don't even think my brother or my dad even know me like y'all do anymore because of the growth that they've missed out on. Not in a way, but they just see, like we've mentioned, they just see the outcome of our growth. Because I can go a few weeks, maybe even months without seeing them. So when they see me again, they're like, "Oh, dang, you grew up, you changed. What you been doing?" They don't know what I've been doing besides y'all, right? So that's part of like letting your actions speak for you.
Yeah, and I think that's I think you shouldn't be looking to always be reaffirming yourself. Like it's kind of like how you said, I want to be able to be recognized by others in whenever I step into a room, or let's say, for example, let's um, say our podcast, we're trying to get, some sort of partnership or something like that, or we go to some sort of, I don't know, podcast convention or something like that. I would love for people to be able to recognize it as soon as we walk into the room. Like, hey, you know what, these guys, there's something about them. It's kind of like how we've always mentioned, like that aura that you have whenever you walk into a room, where you just command respect, and but again, you can't just say that you are. You got to show it, and whenever you do show it, people see it. I think it's always like whenever you walk somewhere, you see, like for me, for example, I'm like a people watcher. I kind of observe. That's just my natural tendencies. So whenever I observe and I see people, it's like I see their actions and I can kind of tell, okay, this is what kind of person they are. For example, today I mentioned I went to a baseball game, and there were some players on the other team that were like cocky and arrogant and talking back to coaches and umpires, and throwing fits, and just not playing the game the right way. And it's those actions that tell me who they are. And then you see other players, right, who hustle on and off the field, respect the coaches, respect what the umpires got to say. They play the game the right way, and you can tell the character of that kid just through their actions. And that right there, in and of itself, commands respect. Like, you know what, this kid, he's hustling everywhere. Maybe he didn't get on base today, but he had some great cuts that just didn't go his way. Or like, you know what, he made a good play in the outfield, and so, but you can see the effort there, and I think that's respectable. I think doing anything and giving it your all, doing your best, that in and of itself is like, that's respectable, instead of being that person who thinks you're too good to try, who like, well, I'm too cool. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it's not respectable, and it's just, it comes off as arrogant. Like, why do you think you're too good? There's people out here who, this is the greatest game on God's earth, and it's a privilege to be able to play it, and you're treating it like this. You're disrespecting the game, and it's just not something that I can respect, and it's something that the everyone can see. Everyone can see it, and it's like, bro, come on, man. Like, you're making a fool out of yourself, and why? For what? Because you think you're too good? Because you're too prideful. You think you're better than everyone else, and that right there shows. And so your actions do got a lot to say. It's not just your words, but it's your actions as well that reflect who you are. And I think it has a lot to say. Like for example, those people who are say they're in line at a fast food restaurant or at a regular restaurant, they're the ones that are yelling and getting upset at the waiters or the people that at the cashiers. Like, bro, like who are you to think that who are you? Who are you?
Who makes mistakes, and then like, you know, you think that's gonna make them want to help you, treating them like that. But if you're cool about it, yeah, I'm gonna want to help you. Actually, that was my bad. But if you're being mean about it, I'll probably mess up your second one just because you're making me upset. But I don't
How
think people
you
realize that.
Yeah, how you treat people, it matters. Like how you treat, for example, like I said, if it's your waiter or waitress and it's taking a while for your food to get out, and you're just getting on to them, you're just harping on them, and then you don't leave them a tip even though it's not something that was out of their control. It's like what that shows a lot about your character, and it's just something, yeah, just not respectful. I want to be able to walk and I want people to be able to see me and see that I respect myself and I respect the people around me, and I'm doing my best just to enjoy the experience. But it's not all about me. It's last thing I want to do is make a fool out of myself. I don't want to be those loud, obnoxious people that it's like they want to be the center of attention. Like I'm the opposite. Like take the attention away. I don't want to be the center of attention. I want to be able to just if I go to a ball game or something like that, I want to just be able to sit there and enjoy the game. I don't want to make it about me. You know. And there's some people who can't help themselves.
And it's crazy too because recently there's been a lot of fights at youth games, whether it's basketball or it's the parents because the parents are getting mad about the calls that the refs are making, or the kids are talking mess. It's been happening a lot, and I don't know what's going on with that. But
Mm-hmm.
also too, do you think, just a random question real quick, the way that those kids are acting, do you think that they're acting like that because of themselves, or when they see athletes and the professionals acting like that they think it's okay? Like
That's a good question.
when they see a good MOB, or for example LeBron flopping, arguing all the time when he was doing that, and so basketball players see that, maybe they think that that's okay because LeBron's doing it. Or when they see a MLB player strike out and he breaks his bat on his leg, maybe they think that's okay, right? Because they're
Uh,
doing it. I don't know, man. And you see that more now though, especially now, like you said, because people think they're entitled. They think that they don't realize that, hey, people would kill to be in your spot.
mhm.
But do you think that might be something to do with it as well?
I think it's like one. I think it starts off at home with the parents. I think kind of like how we usually say a woman is a reflection of her man. I think children are a reflection of their parents. Not always, but I think one, the parents kind of set the tone, and then two, it's just the friends that they're around. But I think the coach has a lot to do with it because if I'm a coach and I see a kid crying, throwing their helmet, not running hard through the base, then I'm like, get off the field. Like you're not playing. Like, we're not gonna tolerate this here in my program. You know, here, you may not be having the best game, but you're at least gonna give full effort at the bare minimum, just out of respect for the game. And so I think it has a culmination of all those things, but at least in my opinion, when it comes to sports, the coach is supposed to be the one that sets the tone, set the standard, and uplift the kids. And then athletes, you can look up to athletes. There's nothing wrong with that. And at the end of the day, I think you should want to mimic the game of the ones who are the best in the world. But usually, the ones that are the best in the world are the ones that play the game right. You look at Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts. They play the game the right way, and so I think it's a mixture.
I think it overall boils down to influence, right?
Mm.
What is influencing them, and lack of discipline, lack of accountability, especially for those wrong actions. Like when you allow those bad actions to keep on going without any sort of repercussion, then they're just gonna continue to do it. And I just wonder. I think I think it has everything to do with lack of accountability. Lack of discipline. We've gotten soft. We gotten soft. Like,
Verse 17 talking about what you're talking about right there. Iron sharpens iron, and one person sharpens another.
Yeah, and that's can be friend to friend, or parent to son, or to daughter, coach to player, and I think it's just a lack of accountability, bro. Like we know that this is wrong. We're not dumb, Majority of people are not dumb. We know that when people are acting arrogant, when people are acting like too cool to play the game, when they crash out, lash out, or they jog to the base, like we all know, everyone can see it exactly how you're mentioning. Everyone can see it that that's wrong. That's not how you play the sport. Why are you acting arrogant? Why are you being so prideful? Like, but I think it's just a lack of accountability. I think we've gotten too soft, and I think we mentioned this earlier as well. How you mentioned your brother, how he was over here getting ripping one of the players a new one, like disciplining him, right? And the parents are over here like, what are you doing, coach? Like,
Stop
no,
yelling
like
at my
that's a
kid.
part. I'm trying to hold my player accountable. Like, he's doing wrong. What he's doing is wrong. But now when we hold each other accountable, when we hop on our asses, or when we discipline our kids, it's seen as we're being abusive, but it's not. It's discipline.
I think I see those clips when I see those clips circulating of Nick Saban and how he would coach his players at Alabama. And man, he be on them, man. Like if they be winning by 50, and he be chewing players out for not doing their job correctly. And it's like that type of coaching, you can't do that no more.
Yeah,
Like, and the kids, because for a few reasons, but one reason is, you get on them. Okay, we're just gonna go somewhere else. I'm gonna go transfer.
it's
So that I don't.
privilege.
Yeah, so I'm gonna transfer out of here so that I can go play for someone else, even though Nick Saban is the greatest college coach of all time.
Yep.
And so, but there's a reason why he was. It's kind of like similar with Coach Belichick.
Yep.
You always see Coach Belichick, you never see him smile. He's always
No.
chewing somebody out. It doesn't matter that they won so many Super Bowls. They have a standard that they set, and you either meet that standard or you're going to get on the bench.
And that's not just to go with sports. That's to go in life in general. I think we've gotten more soft, and it sucks
Mm-hmm.
because we're allowing wrong things to be okay.
Yeah.
But it's not okay. We got to hold each other accountable. We got to bring back discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And it's surrounding yourself with those kind of people, like, for example, us. You catch, for example, if Derek or Jerome catch me over here fucking off, acting a fool, they're going to hold me accountable. They're going to be like, Raul, lock the fuck in. What the fuck you doing, bro? They're going to call me out. Same vice versa, it's holding each other accountable and making sure that we're always trying to do the right thing, Don't get it wrong. We're not perfect. We're bound to fuck up. But now that I think about it, isn't it a proverb? Or yeah, I think it's a proverb, maybe in the early chapters, where it mentions how we need to discipline our sons.
Yeah.
We need to hold our children accountable, because as a kid, we're fools. We don't know, We're gonna fuck up,
Yeah.
But
Tucker's in the chat. Welcome, Tucker.
What's going on?
I think he just joined. He said, "My dad gave me a phenomenal lecture on self-control when I told him that I wanted to charge the mound after I got hit by a pitch." And he said, "Nick Saban is a great example. Roll Tide."
But I think there's a lot to be said about the lack of discipline, and then why we've seen this wave of rebellion in the youth and the generations, and there's no respect. There's no sort of honor no more. Um, and then whenever there is, it's like, oh my gosh, this kid is like a gold mine. It's like, wow, there's not many of you left out there that actually have some respect, some manners, that show honor to your elders. And so, but again, it comes back to weak parenting, weak discipline in the school system,
maybe just a weak society.
just a weak society. And we hear about it all the time about hard times make strong men make easy times, and easy times make weak men, and it's a
Never-ending
it's a
cycle.
never-ending cycle. And we have been in that period where it has been easy. It's been easy because of how hard things were, but now things are getting hard again, and now we have too many weak people, and it's like nothing's getting done. We're not making things better because we have too many people that are rather complain. They'd rather point at someone else and say it's your fault, you fix it.
It kind of sucks to hear about this because, like I said, I've been very isolated. But I, I thought the pendulum was swinging back. I have hope for the younger generation. You know, exactly how we're mentioning hard times or easy times make weak men make hard times. And I believe that we're currently in the hard times, and those hard men, the hard strong men, pause, need to rise.
Bro, you talking about me, bro?
All right, resume. All right, but they're gonna rise again, and I have faith. I have faith.
And honestly, too, personally, from what I've been seeing, a lot of or a majority of people agree with what we're saying right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are agreeing with, hey, like, our, you know, justice system's messed up. A lot of people are saying schools need to fix this, that sports are changing, that, we need to fix this, we need to fix that. Everybody agrees, but no one's acting on it. They're waiting on other people to act on it. And I think we're at a point where we're all on the same page. Now what? Like what? Like who's gonna start it? Who's gonna do it? Right? Because everybody's, like you said, waiting on other people to take action rather than just like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. But I've noticed that a lot. Like we're not so, you know, out of, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Like a majority of people agree with what we're saying in our opinions, right? But they're just too scared to say it or act on it. They're afraid of what people will think, how they'll get treated, that consequences,
Yeah,
right?
because it's frowned upon.
Because it's
now.
frowned upon. But when the majority of us think the same way, what's the issue then, right? But I don't know. People are just still scared. They're still afraid.
Which is why I think that we're part of that wave that is trying to take back. You know what I mean? Like we're fighting because no one else is, and so we know what's right, and so we're pursuing it. And what's wrong, bro? What's lock in, bro?
Lock in, bro.
Dang.
He's still continuing his bad week, I guess.
No. Yeah, we're rising. Yeah.
Rise up, Falcons. I think that's their motto.
I don't think so. I don't know.
I'll have to tell you guys after off camera.
All right.
All right. Let's continue.
Let's
All right,
continue.
lock in.
Let me see. There was another.
I like that you touched base on that very famous one, the iron sharpens iron.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like how we were just saying earlier in verse 18, verse 19, as in water, face reflects face, so the heart of man reflects man. And I think that's kind of how we're talking about earlier about the actions of a man. It shows what's in their heart, right? It's kind of like how we've brought up before. Whenever push comes to shove, whatever comes out, that's what's always been inside of you. And so I think whenever you have those moments, whenever you lash out, whenever you all of a sudden you get disrespectful, you dishonor the authorities, you disrespect your elders or whatever, it just goes to show what's always been inside of you. And so I think strengthening your heart is, it all starts inside, right? It all starts with how you think and the mindset that you have, because when you think about your words, right, it all forms first in your head. That's where it starts. And so whatever you tell yourself, whatever you what is it called, whatever you digest from outside sources, also that's what's going to be inside of your mind, and then eventually those will formulate into words, and then whatever you speak will become action eventually, right? So that's why I believe, or I know it's important, why the Bible also says to constantly be renewing your mind, be in the Word, because right now, as an empty slate, if I'm thinking of things, I'm coming up with it on my own, or maybe I'm taking what other people have said about me, I'm internalizing it, it's coming in my mind, and then I speak it. But if I internalize the Word, I digest the Word, I think about the Word, then all of a sudden, what's going to come out? It's going to be the Word, what Jesus has said, what God has spoken. And so whenever that mindset switches from, oh, I'm gonna think however I want to think, or I'm gonna whatever everyone else has to say about me, and you replace that with what does God say, what does the Word say, you start thinking about that, and next thing you know, now you're speaking it. and then now your actions are going to reflect it. So if you're that person that was like, man, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not fast enough, I'm not smart enough, and then you replace that with, well, you know what, God makes me strong. By His stripes we are healed. God says with the faith of a mustard seed, I can move mountains, and He says He wants me to live life abundantly. Jesus has made all these promises to us that we will inherit the kingdom for those who endure. We're the ones that are going to be promised eternal life in heaven. You know, it's all of those words that I had are getting replaced with what Jesus has said. And so now whenever push comes to shove, I get sick or something like that. It's like, no. Instead of what I used to say back then, well, man, this could be really bad. I could have cancer. I'm gonna die, or whatever. Now it's like, you know what? No, by His stripes we are healed. My God is strong. My God is great. He overcame death. I can overcome this. So because I internalize the word, because I'm in the word, now that's what's gonna start. I'm gonna start speaking it, and because I'm speaking it, it's gonna become reality.
I don't think people realize the power that words are. You're already telling yourself, I can't, or I'm not this, I'm not that. You already lost the
The
battle.
power of the
You know,
tongue.
power of the tongue. I have an acquaintance like that where he's like, bro, I don't even know why I try. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make it. Like, I'm just here. And I'm like, bro, you're already losing. But going with the mindset, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? I'm going to try. I'm going to give him a best shot. With God by my side, I can't lose. So I have two things here, too. Based on what you were saying, I saw verse 11, be wise, my son, and bring my heart joy so that I can answer anyone who taunts me. Staying in the word, reading your proverbs, so you can combat people when they say, "Oh, you believe a little floating guy in the sky, or God's not real, or if God's real, why do bad things happen?" We have to be with our sword and shield, be able to defend them, so we can answer anyone who is taunting our God, and maybe even convert them, right? So I feel if I were to get into another conversation with someone who doesn't believe, and if they were talking civilly, I would be a lot better, well equipped. My sword has been sharpened by y'all. Iron sharpens iron. I feel like I would be able to at least hold up a conversation and help, maybe even not even convert, but maybe plant that seed and let them do what they will with that. And then we have a comment. I have no idea who this is. Maybe I do. Bamo Slams. He said raw talent versus hard work. Go. And I don't know what he means by that. Maybe he wants us to talk about the difference between the two, but that's all he said.
Um, when it comes to raw talent, there's another example from today. There's a kid on the other team. When you talk about raw talent, this kid has raw talent, but his attitude was so negative, he cost his team today in more ways than one. And mental errors, and then also just his attitude was infecting the team in the wrong way, because he's the most talented player on the team, and he was getting frustrated, he was getting angry, he was making mistakes. It infected the whole team. And so I think raw talent, when you're able to combine that with hard work ethic, that's whenever you're unstoppable.
That's when you
But
become one of the best.
but at the end of the day, if we're talking about hard work and raw talent, it's one thing to be able to be good at something, right? But it's another thing to be exceptional. And at the end of the day, if you're that person that's able to put in hours and hours and hours of work, repetition, that right there will either it'll outpace 99% of your competition. Absolutely. Because most people are doing the bare minimum. Most people, they're going to show up as late as possible, and they're going to leave as early as possible. Even the most talented ones. We know this. It's the 1% of people that go above and beyond, that do more work than what's asked, that show up early and leave late. Those are the people that are going to excel. Even if it's not in one particular area. Like, for example, we talk about sports a lot because we play, especially specifically baseball, because we played baseball. Um, but you know what? There are some people out there who, even if you do your best, maybe you're not going to be the best baseball player. Maybe you're just not the most athletically gifted.
Maybe you'll still be on the bench.
But at the end of the day, you could be excelling in other areas. Maybe it's not baseball, but you're really good at business, and you're really good at growing businesses. Or maybe it's teaching, right? You're really good. You can pick up on things really well, and you can teach other people how to do things, and you can become a coach. I think there's a lot of ways that raw talent can only take you so far, and it will only take you so far. For like I said, today there was a really talented kid that I saw playing, but he had the worst attitude and he cost his team. And there's another kid on our team not the most talented kid by any means. He's a lot smaller, very undersized, but he he did what he was taught to do, and he did well, and he helped his team win. And so I think that's a lot of ways to think about it too. A lot of these things are team sports, and even in life, you have to have a team around you if you want to actually have some real success. Trying to be a one man army, a one man show, is so incredibly difficult to scale, and honestly, it's impossible to scale. Who do you know that's sitting at the top that did it all by themselves, no help at all, no team, no manager, no employees, no one underneath them, no one there to help him carry the load? Because one thing I think, Raul, you can attest to this a lot. Trying to build this thing from the ground up by yourself is damn near impossible. It's really difficult. You need to give people tasks to do. You need to get some of that weight and give it to other people.
Yeah, I completely agree. In order to scale, you need to delegate. Yeah, you need a team. I completely agree.
You need a team, and it's the same thing. Guess what? Even the best athletes in the world, what do they have? Trainers, coaches, chefs, people people that they go to help them take care of their bodies, and then they're trying to learn, well, what's the best hitting techniques, and then what's the best way to feel. Like you never stop learning, you never stop growing, and I think that's the difference between raw talent and hard work. And where hard work can overcome raw talent is where if you're the person that's always trying to learn, who's always trying to grow, and you're just a person who just happens to be talented, but they don't really give a damn, it's not going to go anywhere.
We can compare that honestly too. That kind of just reminded me of the tortoise and the hare. The hare's raw talent is super fast. You know, he knew he was gonna win, right? But then the story goes where the turtle ends up winning, or the tortoise ends up winning, even though it took him forever,
Yeah.
just because the rabbit messed off and was, I got this in the bag. I'm good. I got raw talent.
Yeah.
But that raw talent lost to the hard work.
So the question is raw talent or hard work?
Or raw talent versus hard work.
Oh,
He said
okay.
raw talent versus hard work, and then he said W just right
Okay.
now.
I know you touched base on this a little bit, Derek. I say both. Because once you have both, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's when you excel. Just
That's
not
when
the
you-
best. You're
Yeah,
up
you're
there.
Yeah.
You're exceptional.
Because I think of my personal experience, especially when I was in, for example, high school sports. I was talented, and here and there I would get glimpses, like you would see glimpses of me like actually working hard, especially when it came to during the games, or even during the practices. But me also hanging out with the wrong crowd, like especially the varsity guys, the jocks, quote unquote, right? Just being around the wrong crowd made me a little arrogant and made me just arrogant, too cool, right? But once I got out of that, once I grew up a little bit more, once I matured more and actually came into life, I learned a lot about what actual hard work is and what actual effort is, and that's really where it's at. So if I were to pick one or the other, I would say hard work all day, just because. I mean, you can, for example, you can look at people nowadays, the people that were very, very talented, like look who they are now. You know, the people that fall off, and it sucks to see that, but it's because arrogance, pride, maybe even ignorance. They just didn't know that. Hey, I was so talented, I had so much potential, but I didn't know how to apply it or whatever, right? But yeah, hard work's always gonna carry you in the long run, and it's overall gonna be talent any day of the week. And I think we can look at, for example, I think of Kobe Bryant. Yeah, you can say he was talented, right? Maybe even physically gifted, right? But he was always the first one there at the gym before anyone, early in the morning, and he'd be the last one to leave every single day. You know, that Mamba mentality, and that's what made him, in my arguably one of the GOATs for me. Like Kobe Bryant's mentality, his work ethic, and not just with basketball, but with life in general. You know.
And I would even go as far to say, like, if you really wanna find out, apply it yourself. I think if you want to figure out, if you're not the most talented person, but you're down to work hard, work hard every single day. Always show up before your competition. Leave after your competition is left. Do that every single day for years on end, and let's see who gets farther.
Yep.
Who gets farther? And I guarantee you, more likely than not, you're either going to be right step with them, or you're going to be past them, or way before where they can't even catch up. Where they're like, man, I used to look kind of down. I used to look down at you. I used to look at you and be like, this dude wasn't nothing. And now it's like I'm looking. Not only am I looking right at you eye to eye, but I'm looking up to you in a lot of ways, because I think it's kind of like it's a weird double-edged sword where it's like, man, I'm talented, but then you don't. If you allow your raw talent to be the only thing that carries you, you don't get to learn what it means to work hard. You don't you get that kind of stripped away from you because you've always been so naturally gifted, and it's like now you show up, you move up a level, and it's like, wow, everyone's talented, everyone's good. It's like kind of like, for example, let's say you're a high school athlete, you're the best in your school, best in your district, and then you go to a D1 school, and now shoot, everyone here was the best in their school, everyone here was the best in their district, everyone here was all state, everyone here's talented. Now it's like, okay, who's going to be the one that gets on top of there? Who's going to be the starters on that?
Yep.
It's not just all of them are talented, but now it's going to be, okay, who can outwork the other competition?
And I think the only way to realize that, especially when you're someone that is talented, is to lose it all. Lose it all, start from the bottom, and then you realize it kind of how you're saying, like you go to somewhere where you're just like everyone else, right? You're at the bottom of the barrel. Then you realize you're like, damn, like I have to really try now.
I think we've all been through that.
And that's but it's such a great thing though. I think it's such
so
much growth comes out of that, you know.
Like, personally, right? I have a whole story about that you've probably heard multiple times before. But like for me, like, plus what's the fun in being born talented? You know, like what's the fun of that?
Exactly.
Like,
what's fun when it's easy?
Yeah,
it's not fun.
Like, oh, you were born, you know, being able to hit a bomb, but I practiced every day. Now I can hit bombs too, but I worked for it. That's more fun than, like, my story is, right, I've always been one of the smart ones. People always say, you're super smart. And I think I have no idea where it came from. Me and my parents talk about it all the time. They're like, how are you so smart? You know, we're not the smartest people. Like, where did it come from? And I'm like, I guess I was just born with it, right? So throughout high school, I never, and plus, I really don't like to say I'm smart. People say it for me. That's part of the proverb
I
we
can
just
attest to
read.
it. I can attest to it.
Right?
Yeah. I'd say you're the smartest out of us three.
Well, I think you're right. But then that's what Raul just, the story said. You know, in high school, never studied, right? I was just relying on my talent, my IQ to get me through tests, get me through exams, get me through my college applications, right? Now I get into college, and I can't rely on my IQ anymore, and I've lost it all. I've dropped out before, failed, you know, went through the worst year of my life, and I'm like, dang, I'm just like everybody else. You know, I was this super smart kid in high school. Now I'm nothing out here in the real world. So then it shifts that mindset. Okay, use your talent on top of that hard work. Yeah, you're naturally smart, but what happens if you're in the books all the time? What if you're reading for fun? What if you're micro learning? What if you're doing this? What if you're just learning for fun, not what you want to study, right? Maybe learn about business, learn about that, maybe learn geography. I don't need to, but if I'm in the books doing hard work on top of the talent, then that's where you will excel. And that's what I've learned. Like, that's, you know, y'all both hit the nail on the head. I'm like, dang, I really went through that.
And then you touched base on this a little bit, but in the wise words of Kobe Bryant, those late nights, those long training sessions, those early mornings where you don't want to get up, that's the dream.
Got 7 people in here. Dang.
That's the dream, bro. And we've only gotten a little bit of taste of our dream. We're living the dream right now.
Yeah.
And we don't even realize it. Us from when we started the pod about a year ago, a little over a year ago now.
Yeah.
So where we are now, like, we've grown up so much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the dream. We're living the dream already, you know,
Exactly.
and we're so blind to it until you take a moment to pause. Let me reflect a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Then look how much work we've put in. Look how much time and effort that we put in, and look at the growth.
And I think because we've started from nothing, like from scratch, it helps us appreciate all these little wins. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? For example, he just said we had 7 people in here. Like that's a W, right? 7 people.
It's a lot for us.
That's grateful.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm grateful for
We
that.
can be grateful for that.
Yeah.
But then there will come a day where now there's 7,000.
Yep.
You know, maybe there'd be 70,000, and it's like we got to appreciate just a couple people that are in here. And for example, we're at 111 subscribers right now. You know, and that's something that we can be proud of. But it's like there'll be a day whenever there's 111,000, maybe 1.1 million, and we'll look back on these days like, man, remember whenever we started off and we were having nothing, right? Having very little viewers and very little subscribers. But it also goes to show like, well, what if we started off and we went viral right away, and now we don't know how to appreciate it because we had that from the beginning, and then now we start to dwindle off, and now it's like the opposite. We started here and then we end here. It's like, what happened? Because we didn't know how to appreciate it. You know?
He said
And then
it's
and then you didn't get the lessons that came with all the struggle, all that growth.
Uh-huh.
He said it's Johnny, by the way. I enjoy listening to y'all while I'm on my little jog. Anybody know Johnny?
Nicholas?
Is it Johnny Nicholas? Maybe.
I mean, that's the only one I know.
I don't know, Johnny.
But
Yeah,
it's Johnny. Maybe I know him, and I'm just.
I want to touch base on this last verse, and then we can move on
Yeah,
to
we can move
Matthew.
on.
Yeah. It says, verse 23, know well the condition of your flocks, and give attention to your herds, for riches do not last forever, nor a crown for all generations. And what that makes me think of, you can only be at the top for so long.
Yeah.
You can only rise for so long and stay up there for so long. You're bound to fall. That's the crazy part about it. But it also makes me think of, on the opposite hand, you can only be on the bottom for so long too. You know, you're bound to rise. You're bound to win. Just got to keep chipping at it. And I think if you read a little bit further down, I don't know, this 23 through 27 is a little bit separate from the rest of Proverbs. I could be wrong, completely off on the interpretation, but I'm gonna go ahead and read it. When the grass is gone, and the new growth appears, and the herbage of the mountains is gathered, the lambs will provide your clothing, and the goats the price of a field. There will be enough goats' milk for your food, for the food of your household, and nourishment for your servant girls. And that's what
I think that's talking about exactly what you're saying, the cycle.
yeah.
The cycle where it's saying, know well the condition of your flocks, pay attention to your herds, for riches are not forever, nor does a crown endure for all generations. It's kind of saying, you know what, you may be at the top now, or you may be growing now, but pay attention. Like, don't take it for granted, essentially. Like, it's kind of like how we're saying, you become almost ignorant to where you're at, the state that you're at, and you don't appreciate it. And it's saying, like, you know what, no, don't be ignorant, don't ignore the circumstance you're in. Take note of it. Count every single one of your count the flock. Check in on all of your, make sure that it's still producing, that it's still doing what it's supposed to be doing, because it's not going to last forever. And then guess what, one day it'll disappear. But what's going to happen? The new grass is going to come. The herbs are the flowers and all that, they're gonna start popping up again in the mountains, and then at that time, the lambs will be enough, the goats will be enough to take care of you and the people that are around you, your team. It's that constant cycle, and I think it's a testament to how you're saying that even whenever you're at the bottom, right? There's still enough there, and then whenever you get to the top, make sure that you stay on top of it, so that it's not going to last forever, but you can make it prolonged. You can pass down the knowledge that you have and take care and tend to all the little pieces of it. There's because kind of how we mentioned, whenever you do start getting and growing, you learn that there's a lot of little working pieces. Like it's a well-oiled machine. Like it takes a what does it say? It takes an army, right? To help things grow and to build something that matters and something that'll last. And you learn all the nuances along the way of like, this needs to be working this way. This needs to function like this. We need someone always attending to this, because without it, the whole machine starts to fall apart. Like every little piece matters. It's kind of like building a vehicle, right? It's like, well, you know what, you have the truck, but you know what, you need to make sure that you have the tires. Well, the tires need to be attached to the axles, and the axles need to be attached, to this part. Well, the motor needs these, and the alternate, like it's all these little bitty pieces, but they all matter. They all matter. Can you function without some pieces? If some pieces are breaking down, sure, but you can only go for so long. But if you want to function at that high level, you need to make sure that every single piece is working as intended. And then you'll start to learn exactly, okay, well, you know what, we can upgrade in this area. This place needs more attention. And it takes a lot to build something. And I think we've learned that firsthand through the podcast, through KRUE, and in our own individual lives. You need to pay attention to the small details because those small details matter and they add up. Just like how we said the little W's, they add up. So do the L's. The L's add up, and guess what? More times than not, the L's they add up quicker. It's like a multiplier. Whenever you're stacking W's, sometimes it can feel like you're adding 1 plus 1, and the L's feels like you're multiplying 2 times 5. Like it seems like they stack up quicker, especially if you allow it to fester and grow and become a habit. Those L's will stack up quickly. But those W's, on the other hand, making sure everything functions as intended, that also adds up and it can accelerate as well.
It's crazy too. The Bluetooth is wild because I was literally thinking about the car scenario. Uh, went to church last week with my sister. Well, I was actually for Easter with my family, and the preacher said something about I don't know how it works, but all I know is when I push the button on my car or turn the ignition, it turns on. I don't know how it turns on, but I trust that it does. But I don't know about all those little pieces in there that allow the car to turn on and move forward and make it functioning. I just trust that when I push the button, it turns on, and that's kind of what we're doing as well. And also too, like those small details, people don't realize how much they matter, right? Even a sign convention, a positive and negative, right? You get plus $100 or negative $100. Just that little sign right there will determine if you're in debt or if you get a profit. Or even when it comes to like what I've learned with engineering, a lot of people think that, oh, I got, 24.7 degrees, right? But it's actually supposed to be 24.8. People don't realize that tenth of a degree will be the difference whether that bridge collapses or the tower falls or the train comes off the railroad. People don't realize that that little tenth of a number or even to the hundredth can potentially cost people's lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm like, okay, these details really matter. And they really pound that into your head. Like, hey, you might get away with it over here, but when you're trying to build stuff and design stuff and, make this well-oiled machine, those little details matter because you might be the reason someone gets hurt and dies,
Mm-hmm.
or you might be the reason you're in the negatives instead of profiting. And, that was really opened my eyes. I'm like, man, it's tedious, it's annoying, but you got to do it. You
Mm-hmm.
got to do it. I could easily, it's just 30 degrees. But then you got that, it's actually supposed to be 27.8 or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are like, oh, it's 30, just give me it, right? But they really pound that into your head. And like one of my professors said, okay, you're off by a little bit. So do I take off 2 points, like out of 10, right? Do I take off 2 points or do I take off 8? Which one do I do? You messed up a little bit, right? Do I take off 2 points or do I take off 8 when you're working with people's lives? 2 points because you were off by a little bit, but or 8 points because that little bit cost someone's life. And she had us. The thing like it's not just strictly like letters and numbers and all that. I do enjoy when they teach a little bit of life as well. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And she was like, I'm gonna just take off 2, but just think about it. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And he also said the story of Job. I think when you were talking,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Which is basically the story of suffering.
yeah.
Suffering, but still trusting in God's plan.
I'm just curious, what would y'all say? Take off 2 points or 8?
I think there's a way to demonstrate the message. It just depends on whether or not they accept it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can convey, you know what, I can take off 2, but in reality I could take off more. I could fail you, right? Because if you make this mistake in real life,
In real life with people.
it could cost someone or multiple people their lives. I think if they can understand the gravity of it, then you can do it. But if they're really, it's just an actual error on their part, just a mistake, then it's like, you know what, I'm only going to take off this much, but next time get it right. I think that's how you can treat it because I think in your case, it really does matter. Like those little differences are the difference between life and death for a lot of for people, and so especially if it's like children. that are the ones it's like, hey man, you're off by half a degree, but that half a degree mattered. Or I think about the very, for example, we just had the Artemis mission,
Yeah. I was just thinking about that too. The Bluetooth is
yeah,
crazy.
the Artemis mission where we sent
Challenger.
people we sent them around the moon, and I think in that case, if you really are off by even just the minor in your calculations, they will die. They will not make it back to Earth, or they'll crash and burn. Like literally, they have to run simulations over and over and over again, recalculations, to make sure that it matches 100% perfectly, and that it over and over again it comes out okay, successful, what's it called, simulation. Because if not, the smallest miscalculation will result in their lives. And so I think it's important to also bring in those macro problems where it's like, okay, maybe it's not just a car or something like that, or maybe it's not just maybe making a household function or a business function, but when there's actual lives at stake, those little details matter. But then you can translate that over into your real life, translate that over into your business, to where, like, you know what, no, even the small details matter here. How we apply our coding this way, you know what I mean, we don't do it this other way, right? And those little details will reflect in the job that you do. Because if you're someone that, as long as you do it, it's good, versus no, we do it this way, that's the difference between it coming out crappy or it coming out the Detail 806 way, right?
Shout out Detail 806.
Yo.
Right.
Good plug. W plug.
W plug.
Right. But it matters, because those systems that you put in place, it matters.
Yeah, I love this. Like, it's interesting to me, and I'm
I
like,
would have
man,
took 8.
do what?
I would have took the 8.
Took the 8. Yeah, because I mean, like, dang, I only messed up a little bit, but
But I think I would have explained it well to where you would understand and
Mhm.
respect it,
And
and then that would hold you to where you wouldn't do it again.
I think also it depends. Like, if the 8's gonna fail you to where you gotta drop out the class, well,
all
then
your
I'll be a
fault.
little bit more lenient.
Yeah.
Do better.
she got, she got
I'm straight to the
Right.
point.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
why are you so close to failing? Why are you so close to failing then?
Right,
Huh?
exactly. I just like that stuff. Like, it's just so interesting to me because, like, the difference between where they come back to Earth or what happened with the Challenger, it blows up in
Yeah.
the sky, or
Uh-huh.
I was just like, man, all that stuff. Because I always like to
You're
think
dealing
too.
with lives, Jeremy.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Like, I always think to myself too, like, man, science and math is God's language, the
Yeah.
language of the universe. Like, He made everything, the atoms in your body, the electricity in your body, your heart, pumping blood, like, just the stars, right? It's just, I love that
It's
stuff.
beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's why I enjoy it so
The
much.
language of the universe, and then you also see the patterns, and yeah, it's really cool. That's why I'm a huge math nerd. I'm a huge science nerd too, because I think it is crazy to look at God's design and to understand that there is an intelligence behind this creation, and to see it at work, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. But yeah, that's great conversation. I think we got to move on. We're kind of pressed for time, so we're
I
gonna
know. I
move
think
on.
we only had like 2 on this last one because
Time
we
where we
didn't
at?
finish the last set.
We're at what time are we at? Like, how long have we been going?
No. What time is it?
10:45.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're gonna finish by 11.
Yeah. I want to read. Okay.
Yeah. Let's read 20, and
I'll
it's
read
not
this,
it's
I'll
not that
read
long.
this, I'll read this,
Yeah,
I'll read
20 is
this.
not that long. So
Didn't
Alright.
we?
Matthew chapter 20, for those of y'all that are
We'll just
watching.
get going.
Get your
We'll get
Bibles.
going.
Didn't we read half of it though last time?
No, we
No.
didn't. We didn't read any of it.
We read the other half of.
Oh.
Anyways, the laborers in the vineyard. For the
Vineyard.
kingdom, the vineyard in the vineyard. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with the laborers for the usual daily wage, he sent them into his vineyard. When he went out about 9 o'clock, he saw others standing idle in the marketplace. And he said to them, "You also go into the vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right." So they went. When he went out again about noon and about 3 o'clock, he did the same. And about 5 o'clock, he went out and found others standing around, and he said to them, "Why are you standing here idle all day?" They said to him, "Because no one has hired us." He said to them, "You also go into the vineyard." When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his manager, "Call the laborers and give them their pay, beginning with the last and then going to the first." When those hired about 5 o'clock came, each of them received the usual daily wage. Now when the first came, they thought they would receive more, but each of them also received the usual daily wage. And when they received it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, These last worked only 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us, who have borne the burden of the day and the scorching heat. But he replied to one of them, Friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what belongs to you and go. I choose to give to this the last the same as I give to you. Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or are you envious because I am generous? So the last will be first, and the first will be last. A third time, Jesus foretells his death and resurrection. While Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside by themselves and said to them on the way, See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests and scribes, and they will condemn him to death. They will hand him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified, and on the third day he will be raised. The request of mother of James and John. Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to him with her sons, and kneeling before him, she asked a favor of him. And he said to her, What do you want? She said to him, Declare that these 2 sons of mine will sit one at your right hand and one at your left in your kingdom. But Jesus answered, You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink? They said to him, We are able. He said to them, You will indeed drink my cup, but to sit at my right hand and at my left, this is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father. When the 10 heard it, they were angry with the 2 brothers, but Jesus called them to him and said, You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. It will not be so among you. But whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. Jesus heals 2 blind men. As they were leaving Jericho, a large crowd followed him. There were 2 blind men sitting by the roadside. When they heard that Jesus was passing by, they shouted, Lord, have mercy on us, Son of David. The crowd sternly ordered them to be quiet, but they shouted even more loudly, Have mercy on us, Lord, Son of David. Jesus stood still and called them, saying, What do you want me to do for you? They said to him, Lord, let our eyes be opened. Moved with compassion, Jesus touched their eyes. Immediately they regained their sight and followed him. Matthew chapter 20.
Dang.
That was a lot.
It
Bro,
was a
I
lot.
was
That's a lot
low-key
of reading.
struggling to read this part right here because I was getting lost. Like, you
Nelly,
see...
your text is
Your
small.
text is pretty small.
Yeah, I was like, bro, my eyes. I'm struggling.
No, but it's a great story, and I think in the first part, the first parable that he's giving, and he's talking about the people that came first, they agreed to a day's wage,
Yeah.
and then the last people who didn't get any opportunity to get any work, he said, "Well, come work for me, and I'll give you a day's wage." And I think that shows the fact that they were disgruntled about it shows, I think, an example of what greed.
Yeah, I think he hit it right on the button with the very last verse of that paragraph where he
Mhm.
says, Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or are you envious because I am generous?
Yeah.
So the last will be first and the first will be last.
Which is exactly what
yeah.
he said, by the way, at the very end of chapter 20, where he says, whoever have left the houses of brothers or sisters or fathers or mother of children or farms in my name's sake will receive many times as much and will inherit eternal life. But many who are first will be last and the last first.
Oh yeah.
He repeats himself.
Yep.
And I think you're right as far as I think we can look at I think we can be sometimes a little bit envious of, no, maybe not even envious, but we can get upset whenever we see people receiving the same treatment that we do. Maybe not treatment, but they receive the same benefits that we do as believers. Let's say, for example, I've been a Christian my whole life or something like that, and I've been involved with the church, and I give my tithes. Just an example, and I see this person become a newborn Christian, and they're maybe an ex-con, did a lot of people dirty. Maybe I was one of the people that they did dirty, and then now they're being praised in the church, and they're moving up, and they're going on missions and stuff like that, and now they're being seen as a someone to look up to, and it's like, I've been here the whole time, and people don't even pay attention to me, and I think it's kind of like how Jesus has said here. I think what I like about it is it says that he went back to the what does he say, where were they standing at the marketplace, and he asked them, why have you been standing here all day? And they said, because no one hired us. And then he was like, you know what, okay, no one hired y'all were out here looking for work, clearly y'all were trying, but no one hired y'all, so you know what, why don't y'all come for me, and I'll give y'all a day's pay. And for them, it's like, wow, this is a blessing. Like, they could have received that wage and been like, man, I got something that I didn't deserve. I was only here for an hour. I haven't even been here all day, and I'm getting a full day's wage. And it's like, that's God right there. That's God's mercy, because me, on the other hand, I would have been like, well, you're only here for an hour, so I'll give you an hour's wage. Right? That's me. But that's not how God sees us. God sees us as, you know what, you're my son, and you were struggling, and I saw that, so I want to bless you. And that's God's generosity. And here's me. I agreed. I was the first one there, and I said, yeah, a day's wage, that's fair. And I do my day's work, and at the end of the day, I get my day's wage, and I'm like, well, what the hell? They got the same pay as me. I can't understand it, because I'm not in the place that to give. I was the one receiving, and yet it's because the way that God loves us, the way that He takes care of us, even if we don't deserve it, He's going to give it, because at least we showed up, and at least, you know what, we went to work, and even if it wasn't for as long, maybe we did our best. Maybe, you know, what, maybe I didn't show up today until the very end, but tomorrow I'll show up early, and I think God rewards that. I think God rewards whenever you work with a gleeful heart and you do the best that you can, and it's kind of like how He says the last will be first and the first last, because if you're first, that means you don't need it as much, right? But the person who's last, they're the ones who need it. It's a blessing to them, and that's who Jesus came for at the end of the day. He came to heal the sick. He came to give sight to the blind, like how He does in this chapter at the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
And we can look at it and say, well, that's not fair, but it's not fair to expect more than whenever you're not the one paying people.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part, because I can see both sides of the story, especially when exactly how the story is saying, like, they worked all day, and then people that showed up last minute, like, they get paid the same thing that they're receiving. You're just like, what the heck? It's envy,
Yeah.
It's how it's describing. It's envious, and you get bitter, and you're like, what the heck? Like, that's messed up. Like, and that's where the comparison comes in, and that's what we shouldn't do, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, on the other hand, when you are the one giving, and you can see when you give someone something and they're like, that's it, and you're like, bro, what do you mean that's it? Like,
we agreed to this. We agreed to this. Yeah.
So I can see both ends, and it's honestly pretty crazy.
But it's
crazy.
like, but it's another
It's
thing
true.
to say, like, you know what, I worked all day and I got this, and you showed up here and you only, but I saw, like, maybe it's like, well, I saw you out in the marketplace and you were looking for work and you didn't get picked up. I did. You got to go home. You got to feed your family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of being like, man, I'm envious of that. No, I'm happy for you, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's great. Like,
Exactly.
I'm happy that you were able to get money to put food on the table for your family. And instead it's like, well, screw you, man.
Yeah.
I've been here all day. Even though he didn't ask for a full day's wage, God gave it to him. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's kind of how we we have our own understanding, which is why he always says, lean not on your own understanding. He has his own way of thought because he was so generous and he gave this person something that they didn't deserve or maybe that they didn't earn necessarily. Now they're going to be like almost radicalized, like, wow, I'm going to follow this guy. I'm going to work for you forever.
Yeah.
You gave me something that I didn't deserve in my time of need. And I know you'll take care of me. And so now, you know what? Every other day that I show up, I'm just going to be grateful that I'm getting a wage.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the dot when you said that just goes to show how generous our God is. You know.
Exactly. And he'll take care of you. He'll take care of you. And then following that, Jesus, again, he foretells what's to happen coming soon, which we are approaching in the book of Matthew as we get closer and closer to the crucifixion. And then it says the mother came and asked Jesus to have her sons sit at the left and right hand of his throne in the kingdom. And he says, you don't know what you're asking. And are you able to drink the cup that I'm about to drink? And they said, we are able. He said to them, my cup you shall drink, but to sit on my right and on my left, this is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father. And then he says, you know what the rulers of Gentiles lord it over them, and their greatest men exercise authority over them. It is not this way among you, but whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you shall be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. And I think right here what he's trying to get at is you don't come to the table and expect to be fed. You come to the table and see how you can serve others. And that's what Jesus did. And when you think about it, he washed their feet. He fed them. He, sat down and he gave his life to, as what he says here, give his life as a ransom, as a way to give us freedom. And I think we come towards this as okay, what can we get out of it? What can you give me, right? Jesus, give me eternal life, right? And do miracles for me, dance monkey dance, right? And it's like that's not how this kingdom operates. He says, it is not this way among you. Whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant. And in this case, servant literally means someone who serves, right? He says, whoever wishes to be first among you shall be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life as ransom for many. And it's the opposite. This is the backwards way of thinking of Christianity. Instead of coming and saying, well, all right, what can y'all do for me? It's, okay, what can I do? What can I do? It's a servant's heart.
It's like what JFK said. And the only reason I know it's from the zombies.
Yeah,
He's
I know
like,
it.
don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what I can do for my country.
Yeah.
He's like, not God. Don't ask God what He can do for me. What can I do for you? How can I serve you?
Exactly.
It's kind of how I'm seeing it. And then Tucker commented again. He said, it's hard to believe that God created this. I guess this was from earlier, derivatives, integrals, and all that. And I was like, dude, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And he said, sounds silly, but I think my car being a giant paperweight for 6 months was one of God's lessons for me. It sucks not having a car, but I learned a lot from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I remember him going through that. He didn't have a car for like 6 months, and he lived over here, and he would have to commute. So it was tough on him. I think we take for granted just having a car, right? So stuff is that. And I do have, like, I don't know, kind of devil's advocate, right? Hopefully one of the clips doesn't take me out of context and I get canceled, right? But we're saying that the last will be first, right? And I've been seeing this debate a lot, and it's a bit political. When it comes to SNAP benefits and welfare and Section 8 and all that, when it comes to government programs, people are for having them tested for drugs, giving them background checks, if they're homeless, no. And people are saying that they don't deserve it with the Christian view, and I've seen this argument where someone said that's not very Christian of you to deny people who spend the money that they get from the government on drugs. and I've was thinking about it, and I'll admit too, I was one of the ones like, no, like drug test them, like just don't give them free food and free money and free this because they're doing drugs when I'm over here busting my butt and working. Same thing. Then we just talked about that story, working all day, and I get the same pay as someone who barely showed up. Right. So it kind of puts it in perspective of like, okay, well maybe I was wrong. Maybe let me open my heart a little bit and let me think about it. Because he did say those that are last will be first and those that are first will be last. So yes, this person might be addicted to drugs. Yes, they might abuse their children. Yes, instead of buying them food, they go out and do this and do that. But they need it more than me, obviously. It just sucks that I'm over here having to work and they're getting the same handouts that I am, even though I'm trying to do better. That was my initial mindset, and I'm trying to think about it and pray about it. And obviously, this talked about the story. So I guess what I'm trying to say now is like, what is y'all's opinion on that? To kind of like, I don't mean to go on a tangent, but I am trying to relate it to what we just talked about.
Yeah, I
in the
think I'm in
Bible.
the same boat where, honestly, I feel like this passage just kind of humbled me
Right.
because I'm in a kind of how Derek mentioned. He was like, well, what can I gain out of this? Like, what am I getting out of this? So why should I even like partake in this? Why should I even be in this relationship? Like, if I'm not getting anything out of it, right? So I feel as if maybe I'm contradicting that, or maybe as if I don't know, because
That's weird.
I question it as well, because right here and it says we should serve, right? And I completely agree. I can see that, and I like how I mentioned earlier. I can see both sides of the story where you're giving someone and they're like that's it. Like, what do you mean? I'm giving you, like, I'm feeding you, like I'm helping you. You're gaining out of this. What do you mean that's it? But at the same time, I've also been on the other hand where I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I've been here all day busting my butt, and
And
they're,
he shows up,
but
and
but that I can get, like, I'm wrong. I'm wrong to think that way. I can 100% agree with. My question is, and I'm sure it's somewhere in the Bible. There's an answer to it. My question is, let's just say I'm serving this person. I'm serving this person. I'm serving this person. And they're just constantly taking in a negative manner. Does that make sense? Where it's more negative than I'm, and this is where I'm probably wrong. Where, like, what am I gaining out of this? Like, you're just hurting me now, and it's just tearing me down, and I'm over here like pushing myself down and lowering. I don't know, like lowering everything for you, and you're just taking from me, and like, good for you. I'm happy that you're winning, but shit, like, I'm suffering over here, right? And that's where I like to believe, like, man, God's gonna bless me one day, right? God's gonna bless me one day. And I don't know, it's like, I guess for me at least, it's a contradicting thought, and it's humbling to hear this at least. So I'm in the same boat where I'm like wondering what the heck.
yeah, well,
Like,
like,
what's the answer? Yeah.
I think there's one clear way to look at it, and then another not so clear way. I think the clear way is, okay, well, what would Jesus do? And what does Jesus do? Because you think about, well, I give this person, I give them over and over. That's fine. And I give them over and over, and then they take advantage of it.
Before you proceed, I also think of, there's this clip from The Chosen where Judas is kind of like, let me help you to Jesus, right? He's like, let me help you, and Jesus is like, I didn't ask for your help.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another lesson I'm also kind of realizing, like,
Mhm.
and Jesus is like, I'll just pray for you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I think there's that way, but I think at the end of the day, when you think about what Jesus does for us, gives us life, gives us food, gives us a job, gives us shelter, and then we spit in his face every day because we sin. And then he's like, well, I'm not getting nothing out of this, so adios. He doesn't do that. He stays there with us, still continuing to take care of us, even whenever we deny him, we reject him. And at the end of the day, what's our ultimate goal? I mean, Jesus says, be perfect as your Father is perfect in heaven. That's what we strive for, right? And of course, we fall short of that, but that's what we should be striving for. So whenever someone is looking for help and we have the ability to give it, it's our if we're trying to be like Christ, then we give it, and we don't expect nothing in return, because at the end of the day, it also mentions in Matthew as well that your riches are not here on earth. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosened in heaven. And so it's kind of that weird sort of relationship between being a servant to the end, regardless of whatever happens to you here on earth, because your riches will be in heaven. But at the same time, it's like, well, while I'm here on earth, is it my responsibility to take care of people if I can't take care of myself, or if they continue to do me wrong and it causes me harm? And I think at that point, it's like, well, you have to really sit back and ask, well, what is God asking me to do? Like, what is Jesus asking me to do in this situation? And I think the answer always stems from seeking the kingdom first, approaching it with love, and then also realizing that you have to be in a position to be able to help others. I think it's a big part of it. I think taking inspiration from Jesus is understanding that he waited until he was 30 years old to start his ministry. And I think that was on purpose.
And I think I like what you kind of mentioned. You got to realize what's your role. Are you the one that's receiving right now? Or are you the one that's able to give?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because again, we've all been in the shoes, receiving something that we don't deserve, and being able to bless someone who maybe didn't deserve it. And I think that's a good way of taking it, is like, what place are you at? And if you're trying, for example, let's say you're someone you just started working out, and then you're trying to critique someone on their form, and you don't even know what the heck you're doing. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. Then that's whenever it's like, where the Bible says, don't worry about the speck in someone else's eye when you have a log coming out of yours. And so I think it really does depend on where you're at, and if you have the ability, the understanding, the knowledge, and if you feel comfortable enough to be able to say, you know what, I can represent God in this manner, and feel comfortable with my standing with God. I think the SNAP benefits is interesting because there's people that take advantage of it, obviously, and I've always been the type of person that says, you know what, if I want to make a change in my community, then I'm going to do it myself, and I'm not going to rely on other people to take care of it for me. I think people point to government programs and use it as a crutch to say, well, I support government programs, so I care about homeless people, right? And they don't do anything on their own time. They don't ever donate any money. They don't donate time. They don't donate food. They don't donate clothes. They just expect the programs to take care of the people. And then if you're a person who says, well, no, we shouldn't do that, we should try to regulate it at least somewhat, make sure that these people are trying to find jobs, that they're not on drugs, and but then they'll point at you and say you're the bad guy because you're trying to regulate it, but yet you're still over here. You see a homeless person, let me buy you food, let me get you some clothes, let me get you a hotel for a few days.
They'd probably be hypocritical and probably be scared of that person.
Exactly.
Actually,
But it's part of the pointing at someone else to take care of the problems here in your community. I'm more of an advocate for, you're in your community, you know what your people in your community need, you can meet those needs, if you're in the position to. And sometimes, as I said, you can't do things on your own. So galvanize your entire community. Imagine if a community of 1,000 people gave $20, $20 to help out some homeless person or a couple of homeless people. That's $20,000. $20. That's all you need. More people spend more than that at the club every weekend, at the bar, or something like that. Or maybe if they're not even doing that, maybe on clothes. Clothes in and of itself are expensive. People like to go shopping. People spend almost the same amount going to get a meal at Chipotle. Chipotle is like $14-16 for just one meal. And it's like, well, we say we want to help out people in our community. Well, then why don't we pitch in together? $20 for 1,000 people. We live in Lubbock, Texas. What? There's 220,000 people, 250,000 people in this community.
$1.
Imagine $1. How far could that go if we all came together? And so I think that's where I'm more community centered, and I don't want the government to be a part of any of that, because the government ruins everything that it's a part of, and then people will lean on it as a crutch instead of taking care of their own. And then again, you don't know if it's being taken advantage of by the people who run the government, like, oh, they're receiving all this funding and only 20% of it's actually going towards what they said it would go to. And so I think that's my mindset is if we're going to help out the people in our community, well, let's do it. And then let's not count on the government. Let's not count on some people in Washington, D.C. who have never been over here to West Texas say what West Texas people need. I live here in West Texas. Well, then I know my needs of my community. Let's take care of it ourselves.
And that's a good. I mean, that clears it up a lot. I was just thinking, well, we can wrap up the podcast like that, and those that stuck around were able to hear this.
Appreciate
That's
it.
what I'm saying. Like, now they're gonna clip it and say, "Oh, you said that homeless people don't deserve food."
They don't.
Okay, I did not say that. Right, but you know how the internet is. But that's why I just want to preface that I'm willing to be open minded and like learn. And let's see.
I also I wholeheartedly believe in you reap what you sow, and you're gonna get out of it what you put into it. So if you're gonna try, here's the thing: if you try to live your whole life on the government, you're not gonna live a good life. You're not. And so if anything, I feel pity for that person because you're living a crappy life, not actually able to do anything. You're stuck in that system forever, and you're never gonna excel. Whereas opposed to the person who's maybe they hit a hard time, maybe they're a veteran, they came home and PTSD, they got drug addiction, and they're trying to get off of it, and they work hard. They use the benefits that they have, and they try to get something out of it. Because with those programs, man, they'll pay for you to go to technical school. You know, they'll cover your whole tuition. For example, TIA CDL training in Plainview, Texas to get your CDL. You can go through the MET program, or you can go through
Be plugged.
yeah, you can go through the MET program, or you can go to the Texas Workforce Commission, and you can apply to get a full scholarship, and they will pay for your entire schooling for you to get your CDL. And then once you get your CDL, boom, you can start working, and you'll be making great money. Right? There's programs available if you're able to use it, and I think that's great. I think that's awesome. So for those people that take advantage of it and are able to get off of it, all power to them. But if you want to be stuck on it for the rest of your life and just use it, because guess what? I have people in my family that did that, that have done that and are doing it. Their life sucks. I feel pity for that person.
You reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow.
The Lord is near to all who call on him, to all who call on him in truth. Verse of the day. Amen.
Amen. Well, all right. That's it for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in, liking, commenting, subscribing if you haven't already. Again, follow us on all of our socials. Follow us on TikTok, Confessions Podcast Official. And we'll be posting more and seeing more content out there. Thank you for all of you who tuned in. Thank you to Tucker. Thank you to Johnny and whoever else was active in this chat. We appreciate you for watching today's episode. We love every single one of y'all. We'll catch you on the next one very soon. Peace.
Peace.